Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Wow, this is a very different video from my last one where we had lots of fun, laughter, making fun of 12 hideous fall bags. But this video is going to be a bit more serious, so I better put my serious voice on. This is a video that is long overdue. Many of you have been asking for more finance content, personal finance content, talking about money, saving, and investing. I do have a playlist down below where I put all of my previous videos where I touch on these topics. But I feel like this particular video is very time sensitive. We're going to talk about exactly what's happening in the economy today. We're talking unemployment, inflation, consumer spending, all of those things. And I'm also going to share with you what I am planning to do with my money. This is not professional financial advice. I am not a financial advisor by any means. I am just very interested in financial empowerment and financial education and have been for a long time. You guys know if you've been here before, this is a passion area of mine. So I'm making this video for those of you who have asked for it and those of you who are interested in learning more about what to do in this economy. So let's get started. We got to start with the doom and gloom, of course. So a lot of people are saying that we're in a recession, and some are asking, are we in a recession? And technically, the definition of a recession is to be in a period of temporary economic decline during which trade and industrial activity are reduced. Okay, this is like the classic definition. Generally, it's identified by a fall or a drop in GDP over 2 consecutive quarters. And we have seen that already. We've already seen 2 consecutive quarters of decline in GDP. So yes, by definition, we are officially in a recession. And if you want to be really technical, we entered a recession over the summer of this year, 2022. Here's a really interesting hint and sort of a window into what's happening in the economy. FedEx, we all know FedEx delivers all our packages. FedEx recently announced their quarterly numbers and they were bad numbers. It's interesting. FedEx delivers packages to companies and consumers all over the world, right? And the fact that their numbers look so bad is a strong signal that we're not ordering as much, we're not purchasing as much, so companies don't have as many packages to ship. Consumers aren't as active. Consumer spending is slowing down. What this tells me is that the average American is reducing their spending, not necessarily because they know so much about what's happening in the economy, but because they just see it. They just see on a day-to-day basis that things are becoming more expensive and their dollar isn't stretching as far as it used to. And so they're sort of buckling down and they're saying, I'm not going to buy the things that I normally would have bought. And that is an indicator that we are in a recession because consumer spending slowdown is one of the key signals, along with unemployment and inflation, which I'll talk about in a minute, that we are definitely in a recession. So speaking of unemployment, the Federal Reserve actually just recently announced that they're expecting unemployment in the United States to increase from 3.7%, which was the rate right around August timeframe, to now 4.4% in 2023. And some more aggressive analysts are saying it's going to reach about 5% or higher. Now, I know it's hard to grasp percentages, and when we're talking like 3, 4, 5%, it doesn't sound like a whole lot. But to put it in real terms, that would mean that about 1 to 2 million Americans would lose their job next year if these predictions are accurate. Okay, so for more doom and gloom, but I'll be over and then we'll talk about what we're going to do about all this. So let's talk about the stock market. Stock prices have been dropping like flies. Stock prices have been dropping faster than Louis Vuitton and Chanel's quality decline. I just had to put that in there because we're luxury lovers here. I had to put some reference into luxury. But let's take Dow Jones as an example. Dow Jones dropped over 1,000 points recently, okay? So traditionally steady companies also such as Google and Amazon saw significant drops in their share prices. So what's happening? Consumer spending is slowing down, okay? People aren't buying as much. They're not spending as much because they're probably nervous. Companies, therefore, aren't making as much money, so they're not meeting their forecasted numbers. Quarterly earnings are coming out very disappointing. And then investors don't like to see that, so they're pulling out of the stock market. They don't want to be invested in companies that aren't making money. So it's this sort of like cyclical pattern that's happening. And essentially, we are now in a bear market situation, okay? So just to give you a little bit of context onto the bear market. So typically it takes about 12 months. If you look at the historical data of just the American economy, it takes about 12 months for a bear market to bottom out, okay? So some analysts are saying we're about 5 or 6 months into the bear market. So we still have some ways to go. We've got another half a year to go, let's say, okay? If we like roughly ballpark here, none of this is like actually, precise. And then based on historical data, again, it usually takes about 24 months for a bear market to recover. Recover meaning for the stock prices to go back, bounce back to some of the all-time highs. Okay, so this just tells us we've got some time to kind of, we got to be patient. Now let's talk about inflation, because we are hearing about inflation a lot. I feel like the last money video that I made, I said inflation was at about 7%. Well, now it's about 8.5%. So just in a few months, it has jumped again. And I feel like some analysts are saying that it's even higher than 8.5%, but they won't say because it just sounds so bad. But this is what this really means. Aside from all the financial jargon out there, when we are in a high inflation environment, which we are in now, and it's probably going to get worse, it basically just means that your dollar cannot stretch as far, okay? It also means that we are losing money every day. So let's say you have a dollar bill today. Tomorrow, it's worth less. Why? Because you can buy less with it. That is what happens in an inflationary environment. So it becomes actually even more important to wisely invest your money to try to either keep up with inflation or hopefully beat inflation. Okay, so now we're past the doom and gloom. I've poured it all on to you guys. Probably you knew most of this, but I had to just do a recap, kind of summarize what's happening. Now we're going to go into what can we do as average consumers and average investors, okay? So let me just say, there is no one-size-fits-all approach when it comes to money management. This is my approach. These are my opinions from my experiences and also my age and my lifestyle and my life stage. So let's just be very clear about that. Some of this will be very relevant to you. Some of this will not resonate with you because of where you are in your life, but take what you will from it. Number one, I have harped on this in the past in previous videos. Please, please, please make sure that you have an emergency savings fund. So important, even more important now in this type of economy, okay? Emergency savings fund is something that is entirely separate from your kid's college fund or your retirement fund. This is an entirely separate fund purely for rainy days, for emergencies. Okay, with inflation and everything becoming more expensive, if there is an emergency, if something happens, if something breaks, if you have a medical issue and you have to dip into your savings, this is what that's for. Okay, you want it in a liquid account, easily accessible. That usually means a high yield savings interest account. So I like to recommend online banks for that because they give a little bit more in terms of interest. So a lot of the online banks right now, if you open up a savings account, they'll offer about 2%, which is pretty measly still, but 2% is better than 0% if you were to not save or put your money under your mattress, which I don't recommend that you do. If you were to go with a traditional brick and mortar savings account at a bank such as Chase or Citibank, you'll get nothing. You'll get 0.0 something percent. It's going to be really low. So that's why I say I recommend online savings accounts, and you can Google and you'll find a bunch. Okay, now I am pretty conservative. I've talked about this in the past when it comes to money. So for me, having at least 9 months worth of living expenses saved in an emergency fund is what gives me peace of mind. I think most people are okay with 3 to 6 months. If you have 0 months saved up, listen, start now. Start anywhere. It's better than nothing. So you can literally tell yourself, I'm going to save, $100 a month. Or if you can do more than that, great. If you have to do less than that, fine. But just start. And my recommendation is to automate it. So have a set amount that automatically goes out from your checking account every month or every 2 weeks, and it just goes into a separate savings account so you don't have to touch it, you don't have to worry about it, and you're not tempted to spend it, okay? Second, for those of us who have emergency funds, because that's first, and you have some cushion, then you really should be investing. That's my personal opinion. Again, it's not professional advice. If you are not investing, then your money is not growing. Your money is just sitting there stagnant. Meanwhile, inflation is happening and everything around you is becoming more expensive and your dollar is just sitting there doing nothing, right? I happen to be in my early 40s. I'm not that close to retirement. I have an emergency fund. I don't need to pull money out of my investment portfolio immediately to pay my bills or to, pay my living expenses. So my plan right now is to continue to stay the course. I am continuing to invest in the stock market. I have been doing that. I believe in dollar cost averaging, which you can Google if you want to look it up, or I can do a whole separate video on that. But I am very steady and I have a very long-term view in terms of stock investing. So I'm not someone who's going to panic and pull the money out. Something to really consider: if the stock market crashes or has crashed and you panic and you sell, okay, you sell your shares in whatever company that just crashed, you've literally just created a loss. a real loss. Whereas if you own shares in a company and they crash and you don't sell because you know that if you've done your research and the company that you are invested in is a pretty strong, stable company historically, more likely than not, it's going to be cyclical, meaning the price drops and then it corrects and bounces back. And it's just a matter of a waiting game. It's like this dance that we do. So if you sell, you've lost money. If you see that the price has gone down, but you wait it out, then you've not lost anything. Okay, so it's kind of like, it's almost like who can wait out each other, but know that the stock market is cyclical. Unless you've lost complete faith in the US economy altogether, then there really is no other place to put your money than in the stock market, unless you want to be a little bit more risky and go into crypto, unless you're really into real estate, which I'm a fan of as well. But generally speaking, the stock market is where most people go, especially to have a diversified portfolio, because you can own shares in lots of different companies, especially if you do my favorite, which is index fund investing, because then you get a basket of the top companies without having to diversify separately. But yeah, please don't turn a paper loss into a real loss. If you see a loss on paper, meaning you see a stock price drop, don't turn that into a real loss unless you have to, unless you absolutely need that money to live. But if you have an emergency fund, you shouldn't have to do that, right? So you see my point. Okay. Third, this is a great time for many people. This is when many people build wealth in environments like this, when share prices are dropping. You can buy low and sell high. That is the point. That is how Warren Buffett made his money. You buy stock that you think is undervalued, and then if you feel ready to sell it once the value is, redeemed, then you can sell it. But what a lot of people do, unfortunately, is because we have an emotional reaction to investing and to our money, frankly, we buy high when the share prices are too high because we think, oh, we're missing out. The stock market is doing so well. And you buy high, and then when it starts to drop, you freak out, and then you sell and you lose money. You have to go in the opposite direction of the average mindset. I still beat myself up for not investing in Citigroup when it dropped to $1, you guys, $1 back in 2008 when all the craziness was happening. I was too scared. I was like, oh, I don't know. What if Citigroup just never bounces back? And how I wish, of course, no regrets, but yeah, I do regret. I do regret. Okay. Then I would say it's one thing to save money and to invest money, but it's a whole nother ballgame to make more money. Right? Because think about it. You have a job, you get a paycheck. Right away, you get that paycheck and a chunk of it is not yours. It goes straight to the government. Okay? For us Americans here, we know what that means. Taxes, IRS. Okay? So all the money we make is not even ours. My point is, in this type of environment, if you're trying to grow your money and trying to keep up with inflation and trying to create cushion for yourself and plan for your future, it might not be a bad idea to come up with some creative ways to increase your income, to make more money. It's not just about saving and investing what you have, but you might be able to make more money than you do now, whether it be freelancing, doing side hustles, create a YouTube channel, create a podcast, write a book, do babysitting on the side, be a dog walker, whatever the case might be. Maybe even negotiate with your company if you have legitimate reasons to feel that you have earned a promotion or a salary increase or a bonus. Again, if you have legitimate reasons, don't put yourself out there if you don't have real rationale. But if you do, if you've been working your tail off and you've been making great contributions and you feel it's the right time and it's appropriate, then yeah, negotiate for yourself. I'm always talking about, at least in the past, I talked about, know your worth. So in the past, so when I look at the history of inflationary environments, like in the 70s and 80s, now I was like not even born in the 70s, but then I was an infant, so I didn't experience any of this myself. But reading about it, from what I understand, a lot of companies gave their employees salary increases, every 4 or 5 months back then, because inflation was so high that if they didn't do that, their employees wouldn't be able to just make ends meet. How crazy is that? I don't know if that's going to happen again in this era. We shall see. But yeah, know your worth. And if you can negotiate for more, do it. Do it in a savvy way. And if you can earn more income having some side hustles and extra jobs, why not, right? Okay. And then fifth is the obvious. Just reduce your spending. Audit where your money is going. Number one is you have to know where your money is going. You can't just be leaking money every day, buying Starbucks and not knowing it. You have to know. And I have nothing against Starbucks. Big fan. Love my chai latte. But sometimes you can audit where your money is going, and that will allow you to determine, is it worth it for me to spend this much on these things, or is it not worth it, and should I be saving that because I have bigger dreams and goals for myself, or I want more security or more cushion, or I want to be financially free and independent, or I just want peace of mind, right? Whatever the case might be, that's going to be your personal motivation. Know where your money is going, and then just be educated and in control of where you decide to allocate that money. This is not about deprivation. I'm not a fan of deprivation. This is why I don't budget, because it feels like a diet. Whenever people ask me like, how do you budget? I'm like, I don't budget because I also don't diet. I don't tell myself no, okay? If you've watched my other money videos, you'll know what I do instead. So it's not about deprivation. This is about being empowered and educated and in control and feeling good about your money because it's your hard-earned money and what you're doing with it. And by the way, this is bonus, I guess, number 6. Take advantage of free money. I've talked about this also in previous videos, and I'll try to link one up above if I can remember. Take advantage of free money. So whether that means free matching contribution dollars from your 401k, if your employer offers 401k for your retirement, take it. Cashback rewards, if you know you have to buy something anyway, use cashback rewards, get some money back. Bonus points from your credit card if you know you have the discipline to pay off your credit card bills every month in a timely manner without earning interest. That's because earning interest, double-digit percentage interest on credit cards it's going to just bury you. So you have to know if you're able to pay off your credit card bills on time, then use your credit cards, for most of your payment methods and get points and, discounts and all those. And tax breaks. There's so many tax savings vehicles. I've talked about them before. Take advantage of them, okay? Because free money is, in a way, earning money too. All right, that is it for today. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know if you have questions down below. I'll try my best to answer them. Let me know also what specific content you would like me to create around money and mindfulness and personal finance. Otherwise, I'll go right back to my regular programming. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.